Welcome to today's presentation. My name is Hamilton. In this presentation, I am going to make a demonstration on how you can make your own digital interactive notebook just by using Google Slides. I hope you really enjoy this presentation and learn how to make your own digital interactive notebook. Welcome again, and let's get started. Okay, so this presentation is going to be divided in 4 different sections. The first section is how to set your Google Slides. In this part, you are going to learn how to deal with some technical features of Google Slides in order to prepare the perfect layout for your digital interactive notebook. The second section is how to design your own interactive notebook. And here you're going to learn how to add templates and how to make editable pages in your interactive notebook. Then you're going to learn how to share that with your students. And basically we're going to use either Google Classroom or simple sharing settings from Google. The last section is for yourself. In this section, you're going to practice making your own digital interactive notebook. Okay? Let's get started. Before we work on the setting of Google Slides, let's take a look at the following picture. As you can see here, this is a picture of a traditional notebook. Now, they eventually evolved to something called interactive notebooks. And interactive notebooks are interactive because they allow students basically to interact with the content they are learning. Now, the interactive notebooks, which are on paper, eventually evolved to something called digital interactive notebooks, which is basically the digital version of an interactive notebook. But this is not just about scanning the paper notebook. This is about creating content that is editable in a digital format. So today, you are going to learn how to make these digital interactive notebooks just by using Google Slides. Okay, so now let's work on the setting of Google Slides, finally, no? In order to do that, first you need to have a Gmail account. If you don't have a Gmail account, it's unlikely that you're going to make your own interactive notebooks. Okay, so make sure you have this open. When you open your Gmail account, you're going to see, or you're going to look at this page, obviously. And on the top right corner, there is an icon that says Google Apps. You're going to click on this icon, and then you will be able to see all of many of the apps that your Gmail offers. We're going to click on the one that says Slides. Now, what are Slides? Slides are the PowerPoint version of Google. So they look like PowerPoints, and they're actually like PowerPoints, but they are the Google Slide versions of that, no? After that, you're going to click on Start a New Presentation from blank here, and in that moment, you will open your Google Slides. So what you're going to do there is basically go to the File section, and in the File section, give it a click. And when you have that, go to the bottom. You can see here, well, let's wait for a little bit. Yes, in the bottom you have the page setup. So give a click on the page setup section, and immediately you will see this window. When you see this window, you click on that little arrow over there, and that will display some more options. And then we're going to click on custom option. So in the custom option, basically you're going to customize your interactive notebook, your Google Slides. And we are going to type the following numbers, 8 and 10, or 8 by 10. These are inches. We can also use centimeters, but they have a lot of decimals. I didn't want to make this more confusing. So 8 inches by 10 inches are the measurements that our interactive notebook is going to have. Alright, so once you have that, you're going to click Apply. And when you click Apply, you are going to see that the layout or the format of your interactive notebook of your Google Slides have changed. Okay, so the last thing to do here is to go to the untitled presentation part and rename it. So basically change the name as the name that you want. I'm going to name myself or mine my first IMB. So IMB stands for interactive notebook, or my first, I should put digital interactive notebook instead of just IMB. Okay, so that's the end of the first part. Super easy. It's basically, remember, 8 by 11 inches. Okay, so the next step in this presentation is to design your interactive notebook. And for that, I am gonna go to the IMB that I already created, no? My first IMB. So this one is empty and it has now the right measurements. And now what we are going to do is basically to design how I want this to look. And for that, the first thing I'm going to design is page number 1. And page number 1 is the cover page. So the cover page of a notebook looks like a normal notebook, right? So what we're going to do now is I am going to click on insert over here, and in insert I am going to click on the icon that says search the web. Yes, and so there, here on my right I see Google Images. What I'm going to do there now is to click what I'm looking for, and I'm sorry, to type what I'm looking for. And so what I'm looking for is basically I want to say notebook cover, maybe. Let me type again. Notebook cover. Yes. So let's wait for a little bit, and you're gonna find, see me, okay, here you can find a couple. I don't like them though. Let's see until I find something that I like. Well, this one looks interesting. Yes, this looks like an agenda or planner, right? Let me see if I can find another one. This one looks also like an organizer. Let me see. I don't find a lot today. Normally they change. Oh, here there is one. You may like this one. All right, so I'm going to click on that one, and yes, and I'm going to insert it. Yes, it's here. So now it's small, all right? So what I'm going to do is make it bigger. Obviously, this is super easy, right? And something that I realize is that this image is a little bit too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the sides. How do I do that? Here on top, there is this little icon that says crop image. So you're going to crop it, but just the sides a little bit. Oops, sorry, that was not supposed to happen. Let me try it again. Yes, that worked. It's kind of hard to get that perfect spot. Okay, click outside and make it a little bit bigger so that it perfectly matches my slide. I think that's good. All right, so I have now the cover page. Something that I do with my students in my interactive notebook is that in the cover page I ask them to put two things, their names and also to insert a picture. Now for that I am going to click on insert, and I am going to insert a text box. So I'm going to put the text box here. Yes, text box here, and I'm going to write there the following words. It says insert, oh no, not insert, type your name here. Yeah, that would be better. Type your name here. All right, I'm going to center that over here, make it in the middle, going to select it and make it bigger and a little bit of bold so that they can see it perfectly. Yeah, so this is where they're going to write down their name, well, type their name. Now in this other section I would like them to put a picture of them, so for that I'm going to select this square, the text, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and I have a copy of it. And instead of type your name here, I am going to yeah, insert is better. Insert your photo here, so they know that they had to put their own picture over there, right? How are they going to put the picture? That's super simple. The only thing they're going to do is they're going to go to insert image, and if they have a picture from their computer they can do that, or they can take in that moment with their webcam. That could also work. Alright, so yes, so that's the cover page. Now what is going to happen in the other pages? Well, right now it looks pretty good, but the other pages are different. They are not supposed to look like this. This is only the cover of the notebook, right? So I'm going to click Ctrl M, and that creates a new slide. So Ctrl M is the command to create more and more slides, right? So create another slide, yeah, so we delete them. Just one slide is fine for now. And what I'm going to do now is create a background for my interactive notebook, and for that I need to decide whether I want lines or grids or squares, right? So because I'm teaching English, I guess I'm going to use lines. That's better. And I'm going to insert a picture that has lines, but this time is going to be a little bit different from the previous one. The previous one I only insert an image from here, right? Insert image, insert image and search the web. This time is going to be different. So I am here in slide number 2 and I'm going to click on background. So I'm going to change the background, and in the background I am going to choose image, and there are many options to choose an image, but I'm going to look for a Google image. And here I am going to type notebook lines, or simply lines, and see what I can find. And yes, I can find many things. Now the problem is that right now I am going to add an image as a background, so it has to be perfect. It shouldn't have like spaces on the sides, because that would also be included in the picture, and I don't want that, and I can change that because it's a background. So I think the first one were better. These ones are not. Yes, probably this one, maybe that one over here. Let's try with this one and see how it works. And yes, so now I'm going to click on add to theme. Why? Because this means that this will be added to all the slides except for number 1, because that already has an image on top. So this one will be added to all the slides. Yeah, and add to theme, and done. Alright, and now as you can see, I have a background, and the background is not editable, so students can change that. See, I'm trying to select and try to move this, but this image is a background, so basically they cannot change that. This also means that any new slides that I make will have the same background. For example, I'm going to make a new slide right now, so it's going to be Ctrl M, and see, slide number 3 has the same background as slide number 2, right? And this is basically how you create the interactive notebook, the very basics, the very basics of that. Yeah, so far so good. So we have the cover page, and we have page 2, page 3, and we can have 20 more pages if we wanted to. Okay, so now what are we going to include on your page, on our page number 2? What I've seen is that many people who use interactive notebooks, what they do is they include something called table of contents. So I am going to click here and delete these text boxes that are come by default, and I'm going to insert a table, yes, and it's gotta be 2 columns with probably 15 rows, so that's gonna give us more or less 30 pages. I'm gonna explain to you how that's gonna work later, but basically here I am going to change a little bit of the color of this so that's more visible, well, not that dark, and the border or the weight should be, well, 3, that's better, a little bit darker. All right, okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, yeah, and so this is going to be the table of contents. Yeah, and let's write the name of that first. So insert text box, shouldn't have deleted the text box before. Okay, so that's going to be table of contents. Yeah, put that in the center, select, make it bigger. You want to change the font. Yeah, okay, now this is also page number 1, right? So I am going to copy and paste so I can do another one, but this one, oops, is going to have number 1 in it, and it's going to be a lot smaller. It's going to be on the top right corner. There you go. All right, so table of contents, and the table of contents is basically what's going to be inside my interactive notebook, no, page by page. So page number 1 is going to have the table of contents, obviously. Page number 2, oops, so it really depends on the teacher, but normally what I want my students to do is to insert or to put their background information on page number 2. Now this could be done in many different ways. Some people are very creative and they put a Facebook profile or something like that. I'm just going to put something called This Is Me, where they have to include 5 images of themselves, of their family, and I'll show you pictures of this or examples of this later. No, This Is Me basically is about their lives. Now page number 3, I don't know where we're going to put that yet. It should be a little bit bigger because I want to see that. You can also change the color of the font. If you don't want black, you can personalize this, maybe that orange. Oops, no, it doesn't look, there isn't much contrast, doesn't look good. Blue, yeah, maybe blue. See, this one can be another color, red. Here it depends on your creativity and how you like things to look. All right, so that's page number 1, page number 2, page number 3, page number 4, page number 5, page number 6, and so on and so forth. And they're going to fill this out. If they need more pages, you can simply add the same thing in the following page, and you have to change the number of the pages so that they match. But basically, if you run out of space, you can add more. Now, it's important your students know what they have to do in each part or in each slide of the interactive notebook. So something that I learned from another person who makes interactive notebooks is that you can add the instructions in the side as a note or as a sticky note, as a post-it. So what I'm going to do now is going to insert image from the web, and this time I am going to include a post-it. Let's see what I have here. There is one, I like it. Let's click it, insert it, and let's wait for a little bit, and there you go. Let's make it smaller, put it on the side. Let's make it bigger now, and I'm going to insert some text box over here. Alright, so here I'm going to put the instructions. Whatever the instructions are, your students know what they are supposed to do here. In this case, instructions are or can be something like yeah, complete the table of contents according to the content of the notebook, no? It's kind of redundant, but you know what I mean. So let's make it bigger, darker. Let's change this. Yeah, that's better. Well, it really depends on you, how you want it to look. Mine, oops, there's a spelling mistake, sorry. Mine is just more plain or simple. Okay, there you go. Yes. Yeah, so the students know what they have to do there. Okay. Now, what are we going to include on the following pages? That really depends of your students' goals and what you want them to learn or to achieve in this interactive notebook. Normally, what I realize is that the interactive notebook is aligned to your textbook. So anything extra you want to add that complements the textbook or the learning of the students is usually put in the interactive notebook. However, this could change and you can make it as you want, however you want. So what I've done is basically included grammar and grammar charts, so that helps the students. They help the students to clarify things in a more visual way, and that really helps them when they have to study, especially before tests. They usually ask me, teacher, where can I study something? And basically it's from their interactive notebook, right? That's one approach. Another one could be to use the interactive notebook as some kind of student portfolio, and in that way that will gather a lot of the assignments. You will basically upload the assignments in the interactive notebook. So let me give you an example of one and the other. So okay, here I have one, and this is the one that I'm using right now with my students from level 4, and it's editable, and they have to edit, obviously type their name here. Then you have the table of contents with the instructions on the right, and on page number 3 they have something called This Is Me. This is basically a little bit of a poster of their family, their background, their education, their goals, and a picture of themselves. This is completely editable, so they can insert their pictures. No? Let's say that I want to insert a picture over here. So insert image, upload from computer if I already have a picture. See what I have here from my images. Say I want to edit this. This is one of my goals, to cycle the world. So I can put it here, and I know one of my goals is to cycle, right? And they could do the same with the other part. So it's super easy to include an image. Then what I did in this interactive notebook basically was to design graphic organizers that illustrate the grammar content that I want my students to learn. As simple as that. So in this case, the first topic was present simple versus present progressive. There was an example that I provided them, and then they had to come up with a rule. And the other ones, they had to create their own examples and come up with their own rules. It was a little bit of deductive learning there. And so that's one thing you can do. You have the instructions here in Stadiverse. I don't know if you've seen the topic of Stadiverse, but I tried to create a graphic organizer that illustrates what Stadiverse are and examples of that. So this one's really good. And the other pages, I still don't have them yet, because this is progressively done. You know, I can't just build an interactive notebook in a weekend. No, it needs a lot of work. You have to think of what exactly you want your students to see and to work on there. And that's just one example, right? There is also another example. I have one here that I used in previous semesters. This one has a different layout. This is a completely horizontal layout. So it changed a little bit. It looks a little bit distorted. But it's basically the same concept. No? It has a table of contents. And what's interesting here is that when you click on one of these content, it has a hyperlink that takes you to this page, page number 15, which says body paragraph, for example. And this is heavier. This is not just grammar content. It has a lot more things going on here. Normally at the beginning, I ask my students to create their own Facebook profile and just to know more a little bit about their lives, and to write down their goals and their plans to achieve their goals. And then they have diagnostics, the rubric, and diagnostic reflection. It's a reflection they have to write based on the diagnostic and how they can improve that. And it really depends on the topic. Level 4 in this case was based on a lot of writing. We didn't have a textbook, so the interactive notebook was perfect for that opportunity, for that scenario. And then every unit that we had covered had a theme. This one has heroes and change maker, so I found this online and put it here. And they got reading with vocabulary and so on and so forth. It really depended on what you want your students to achieve. You want them to practice some writing here. It could be done some writing, or you want them to do some other skills and practice more, a little bit more of grammar. Let me see where I can find the grammar. This is writing. Yeah, a little bit of grammar, punctuation, more specifically found voice. Yes, a little bit of grammar here. Yeah, and then every unit or every theme had a different, every unit had a different theme. This one was called migration. We did also a little bit of listening. And yeah, so on and so forth, a little bit more of writing. And many of the things that I found were actually Pinterest images. I don't know if you ever use Pinterest, but I put the Pinterest image on the right with what do you call these? Organigrams? No, it's not organigrams. Infographics, yes, infographics, and some kind of worksheet on the right. Here there was a reading about Cuenca, which is a beautiful city in Ecuador. They have no, it wasn't a reading, it was a listening, sorry. So they did that too, and more vocabulary, writing process for a research paper. Yes. At the end, they had to insert the video of their class debate and some debate pictures. This is visible. I have examples of this. Class debate, yes. There's one here of my students, class debate, and debate pictures. So you can click there and you basically will be able to see the video of the class debate. Now this interactive notebook is super big. It has a lot of pages. Normally wouldn't recommend that you do this if you are doing it for the first time. Start slow. Start like this and see what you can add to your interactive notebook. Maybe you can add only the grammar content, like the way I'm doing it right now. I'm doing only that because the students, they have a textbook, and so they just need to complement that. If they didn't have a textbook, then I would add more stuff in my interactive notebook, but right now I don't need that. So yes, so this is what we have in the interactive notebook. So now we are going to go to the next part, which is basically how to share that with your students. Okay, how are we going to share that with your students, your interactive notebook? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, there are two different ways. The first one is just to share by the regular sharing settings of Google. So basically what you have to do is add your student's email let me see if I can add one here. Let's say that this person is my student, and I am going to share this with this person. She will be able to edit it. Now I can send this to her, and when I send it, she will get a notification or an email saying that she could access that. Now I'm gonna click cancel because I don't want to share this right now. So I mean, that's the easiest way, but what's the disadvantage of that is that when your students access to your interactive notebook, they will be able to see your interactive notebook and not theirs. So what they have to do is create their own copy in order to edit that copy and not your original interactive notebook. Because the thing about sharing is that everybody can share the same document, just like Google Docs, right? The same happens with Google Slides. So when they open the file, what they're gonna do is go to File and make a copy on the entire presentation. That will create a new copy that is entirely, in which they will be the owners of that copy. That's entirely editable, and it wouldn't affect your interactive notebook, because if you had, say, 30 students will be editing your notebook, and you don't want that. So that's one way. The other way is by using Google Classroom. If you are familiar with Google Classroom, then you know how to do this. I created a test class, and you're gonna do is go to classwork, create assignment, and we're gonna put this I and B, and what we're going to do is to add you can add directly the Google Drive, because this is in Google Drive obviously, or you can add the link. How do you add the link of your interactive notebook? Well, what you do basically is you go to your interactive notebook again and go to share, and what we're going to do is copy the link. It says here copy the link copied, and go back to classwork and Control V, you add the link there, and there it is. And now here we have the best part, because when you click on this little arrow, you have two options. Students can edit file, and students, or make a copy for each students. So you're going to click on make a copy for each student, because that will prevent them to edit your original interactive notebook. You click there assign, and this will be ready for students. So that's the most effective way to do the interactive, or to share the interactive notebook. Okay, so that's all with sharing. We're gonna move on to the last part of the presentation, which is this one, and basically is the part in which you need to practice this doing by yourself. So if you want to see how everything is made, don't hesitate to watch the video again. Now I want to thank you a lot for this, for paying attention to this presentation. When you have done your interactive notebook, please make sure you share it with me to this email address so that I know that you did it, and I'm happy here to help. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach me. Yeah, so thanks a lot, and have a good day. Bye bye.